All right, so now we're entering the part of the project where we'll start working on the admin page, which we'll use to upload our videos and manage them, set them publish, change their status from premium videos to free videos, etc. So the main goal of this is to finish up the admin page. And the main goal is just to have the admin page skeleton or UI basically sorted out so that we can start making it actually talk to the database and fetch actual data and use all the different flags on the videos to make sure everything renders properly. But for this video, we'll probably just use placeholder data and just get it worked out. So it's going to be a lot of markup again and a lot of just rendering stuff. So if that's not something you're into, you can probably skip to the next video or just forward through this one a little bit. So let's get going. Okay, so I'm in the shipped project now, and what I'll do is just set up my development environment again. I use NuxtHub as mentioned previously, but you can use whatever you want to. I'm going to create a separate buffer for my terminal and then just run the dev command that will start up the server. So then I can go back to my code, and every time I want to switch, I'll just use bterm to make sure that everything in the logs are looking as they are supposed to. Right, so let's get started on first reloading this page and make sure everything's loading as expected. Right, so our app still looks the same. We have all the things that we need. And what we want to do now is basically work on our /admin route. And currently we have a middleware blocking us, so we'll have to basically sign into our account, which we made test@test.com with a very strong password. So now we're on the course page, and if we go to the admin page, we still get redirected because in our database we need to be an admin user to do that. So I've created this test user and I'm going to make it admin, save those changes, and now I should be able to go there. Yes, because now we are the admin. All right, so this is the page where we'll basically manage our videos. Since this is the first time I'm actually going to do this page, what I usually like to do is just get an idea of what I want to achieve on the page. Instead of just going off of my mind, I get like a very, very rough sketch of what the idea is. So let's say this is the page. In this page, basically, we have our nav bar already. And what I want to do is list on the admin page. I want to list all the videos we currently do have and give or show the thumbnail, show the title, and then maybe have some options like if you click on that thing, obviously you need to go to the page where you can change some stuff, but also some quick actions like if I want to delete the video, maybe just have like an option to click on 3 dots or something. So let's start out by doing like a little table that has that, and it has the video title, maybe the publish date and some other details. And then next to that, what we can do is just add like a context menu. So basically 3 dots. And what I would like to do with all these is just group them and center them up like that. We might even have 2 if the screen is big, 2 next to each other like this. But that always kind of confuses me because people that read left to right will see it that you read this and then you read that and then you, so in order of sort of how you chronologically sort them. But then obviously you get people that have right to left reading and stuff like that. So when it's usually when it's like squares like this, it's very it could be confusing like which one is the right order. So maybe I'll just keep it a table, a full table like this. Everything is basically just in a list like that. We could add some pagination on this so that we don't have to load every single video in our database. And yeah, I think that's about it. I do think this is a very small, by the looks of it, it looks kind of small, but we might add more details. So we could have the published ad date in another column, and we could have the each setting in its own column instead of having to click and see a context menu. But I think this is the main idea. Okay, so I've cd'd into the app folder and then pages and then admin and then index to get to this admin page, and we have our middleware admin. The first thing I'm going to do is just create some fake data so that we can use it to show some stuff on the page. I'll just basically do a video items is going to be a ref, and it doesn't even actually have to be a ref. We can just do a new array of, like, let's do 12 dot full with null and map them. And in the map, what we'll do is we'll return an idea of what our videos will look like. So this isn't the final structure of the videos. It's just so that we have some ideas or things to show on the page. So we will need a title. We'll probably need an ID, which will just make the index. And for that, we'll need the index in the map. And in the I'm going to do ID is I plus 1 because I don't want 0 IDs, because if you do something like a VIF on a 0, it's going to be nullish and might break some stuff. All right, so we have the title, description, thumbnail. We could even add a premium flag, or we could say something like the visibility could be public. And as public or private. We could do public or premium. And then the next thing we might want to do is the status, which is, let's say, published, which is published, or draft, or we could even have a processing. And you would see when this processing flag might be important when we start working on the actual data and the Bunny CDN webhooks. Okay, so we have an ID, title, description, thumbnail, visibility, status, and I guess that's all we need for now. We can ignore this video param, and yeah, that should be enough for now. Oh, and one thing, I actually do need a real image, so I will use the lorem pixum endpoint that actually returns you some random images when you give it a size. And then what we'll do for now is just basically render all of this out. So I'll do a normal div. I'm gonna say, let's do an unordered list. This isn't the final output, I just want to see some stuff on the page. So we'll do a v4 video in video items, and the key would be the video ID. And in here we'll have an image with the source being the video.thumbnail, and we'll have the title, and we'll have maybe the description, and we don't really need the visibility. I just want to see that we actually see some stuff on the page. Great, so we get the same image, but that's fine. At least we do have an image, and we can see that our data works. So now let's actually get started with making our table using NuxtUI. Okay, so let's delete all of this. We don't need that anymore. And let's start off with a basic U table that basically just is going to render a table for us. But before we do that, we need to declare what our columns look like. So I'm going to do const columns is equal to an array. And the reason we don't actually have to redefine this. I can show you what it looks like without it. We can basically just say that the rows is equal to the video items. And what this will do is it'll just basically render it out as is. But the problem with that is it uses the headers as is, but we might want to change that. And it only shows the URL, but we want to show an actual image and stuff like that. So let's actually fix that. We do not really need the ID column. So what I'll do is I'll define the columns, and that's going to be an array. And so what this takes is a key, and this is the key that it's going to look at inside of the data that you give the rows property. So the key of ID, for the label, we just want to have an empty label, and we might even just remove it completely, but let's just do that for now. And then we can do title, description, but first we actually want the thumbnail. So we're going to move that as the first one, because I want to see the picture first, and say the key is a thumbnail, but the label is going to be empty, because everyone knows that it's a thumbnail when they see the picture. So you don't have to say that it's a thumbnail. And that basically lays out all of our columns, and we can add that and see if anything looks better. That's just a little linting error. And now you can see we don't have any headers over here, which is exactly what we wanted. But now we also want to render this image as an actual image and not just a link. So what we'll do is we'll say the utable, and this provides us with slots to access our data in our rows. The way we do that is we define a template and give it the slot syntax shorthand, and we can say, I believe, data and then the column name. So instead of name, we have to say data thumbnail. It could be the other way around as well. And that gives us back the row. And let's see what happens when we do that. So I believe it might be thumbnail data. And there we go. We see a little thumbnail, a blue, a black, whatever that is. But we made it square, and we don't really want to make it square. We want to say aspect video, because most of these are going to be videos. So you can see that it is just huge now, and maybe add a fixed height. So we could say like the H would be 40 pixels. That might be too small again. I guess that's fine. So we have this nighttime video that's rendering out, and we have the title. But I think I want to remove the ID column completely. And you can see now that we have that. So now what is happening is our table is spreading out the information equally for each column, and we don't need this much space next to the to this column. So we might want to shrink that down. So our video thumbnail is a little bit far away from all the stuff that we need. So we can access the UI prop on the utable, and this is just how NuxtUI exposes its internal styles to you so that you can override them. So the convention is that you don't want to do class and then try and target things that's within there or write custom CSS at the bottom. NuxtUI exposes everything that they use on the actual elements, and this is the NuxtUI version 3, I believe. So I'm not sure if 4 will do the same thing. But what we want to do is access the TD part, and the TD has a thing called base, and this base we want to set the max width to 0 and then put the truncate class on it. So when we do this, you can see that we actually get what we want. We want the title to be close to the image, but also we might not want to have this huge table covering our entire page like this. We might want to squish it down a little bit. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to add a ucard, another NuxtUI element that just basically renders a card. And then on the ucard, what I'll do is I actually want to set a max width on this. So I believe that class we can just do as a class and not within the UI itself. I want to do a max width of, actually I'm not going to do this on the card. I'm going to create a separate thing, and we can use something else. We can use uContainer, which is also given by NuxtUI. So let's set the uContainer, and now you can see it squished it up a little bit, and I don't like how this is rendering because it's supposed to be a video aspect ratio, but that's okay for now. And let's add some margin to this container, top and bottom. Margin Y of, let's do 10. And yeah, now we can see our videos. And let's add a little bit of a header. So we can say template with the name of header. And instead of video list, I'm going to make this a bit more user friendly and say uploads. And then there we have our uploads. And I want to fix this image. So I really want this to be like flipped. I think the easiest for now is maybe just make it work on the width instead of the height. Yeah, it looks better, but it's still really small. Okay, I'll tweak that off the video, but you get the point. So we have our thumbnail, title, description, and we have the visibility, and we have our status. We might want to make these drop downs so that we can easily change them. And then we might want to make this clickable, edit it. And I think I prefer just loading the video in a separate page with a form and then rendering it. So that means we probably can delete this logic and just keep it nice and lean and make sure that everything is just raw data. And then we want an actions column. So for the actions column, it's not actually going to read from anything. The key is actions, but there aren't any actions on the video, so it doesn't have any data to render. But what we can do is say a template and then actions data, and I'm just going to say edit or delete, I guess. And we don't need to bind the row because we don't need any. Well, I guess we do need the row because we'll have to use the ID of the item. So these are two buttons now. And I'll do ghost and ghost over here. And small button, small button. This has to be red. There we go. So now we have our edit and delete button. When deleting, we want a confirmation video. I think deleting makes sense to have on this page instead of going into the video and then having to delete. But for all the edit actions, we'll save that in the, or do all of that on a single page. All right, and we also aren't showing our category, which we added. I think we do that next to the description. So there we have our category now as well. So when we go into edit, we want to see a page. So let's work on that logic. I do notice that our table is getting quite a bit squished. You can see the, and by the way, if you want to, check out all the options and stuff of NuxtUI, I'm not sure if I mention this, but you could do something like just nuxt/UI and then table, and then usually that takes you to the exact component that you are looking for. And then most of the time they have really good examples of what you can do for your specific use case. In this example, there's like styling, and there's even like one that allows you to select items, I believe. So you can select a few, or you can deselect all, or select all. But one of the things that I spend a lot of time on is the config, because this is where NuxtUI defines their classes. And this is stuff that is pretty difficult to remember off the top of your head. There is autocomplete on it, but it just really helps to quickly check out the reference. Okay, so let's get started on the edit page. What I'll do is just put all of this in a copy buffer so that I have it handy. And then I'm going to create a new folder within the admin directory. So this folder is going to start, the name is going to start with a square bracket, ID, and then a closing square bracket. And what that means in Nuxt is basically this is a dynamic route parameter. So if you go to this route with any sort of name, number, anything that you put in there, then Nuxt is going to keep that in state so that you can access it. So I'll create a /admin and then /id, and then that would be where we render our page. So you could either do a folder with an index, or you could do something like a id and then .view like that. But we'll do it in a folder because we might want to have separate things, separate pages to do stuff on the ID route. But in this case, we'll do a new file called index.view. And then I'll just use my little snippet to create a basic Nuxt thing. And then here we have our pasted video. And what I'll do is just say const video equals that. And we'll just make the ID 1. And the visibility, we can also hard code as public. So we have a video. And if you remember, we are using a dynamic route. So just to show that, I'm going to do an H1. And before we put anything in there, we'll go up here and use a Nuxt composable that allows you to access the route. And we have to also remember to define page meta and with the middleware admin. I mean the admin middleware, because every route, we decided to make this something that we have to declare on every route. So we could set and forget this by kind of making it a global middleware. But for now, I think we'll remember, especially when someone starts accessing videos they're not supposed to. Okay, so we have the route now, and the only thing I want to do right now is just show you the route parameter, which is coming from that ID name in the folder. So we could do something like route.params.id. And if we go to the edit page, first we need to be able to get there. So I guess we could just hard code it in the URL for now. So we'll just do /1. And now you can see there's a little 1 over there, and then we could do something like hello, and you can see that that's hello. So what we want to do in the first place is restrict this to only accept IDs instead of random strings and stuff. So that is mostly going to happen when we start working with the database, but for a simple use case right now, we could probably just add this to the top. But once we actually fetch data, then that won't be an issue, because we'll define it in a separate middleware. But or we'll just basically check if the video is not null or something like that. But what we can do is just add a to-do, add middleware for video, or show for something like that. We could do something like that, but for simplicity's sake, what I'll do is just basically create like a fake video, say the actual video. And what we'll do is extract the ID from the route. And we could just do a basic check like that. And then in this thing, what we can do is create a container. So uContainer basically just wraps our stuff and squeezes it and puts it in the center. It's just a simpler way to do max width and MX auto. And then I'll do a div over here and another div. So I'll just say that if there isn't the video, then we'll show that basically video not found, and we'll update all of this. It's just basically so that we remember to do that. We're adding these, but as soon as we work with real data, then we can do that. So let's do reload. So video not found for 2 and video found for 1. Great. So now we know that this is the block that we can work in to actually access our video and stuff. Okay, so what we want to do here, what we want to show is basically the video title, description, and make everything editable, and maybe show the thumbnail and etc. So let's get started on that. The first thing we want to do is make this a ref, because we want to edit this video, be able to edit this video. And then instead of saying video.id, we want to say video.value.id, and then that should fix the code for that. And we might want to do return the video.value instead of the video. Okay, so then what we want to do is basically have a U form that shows all the editable fields of this video. And we have worked with the U form before, so there are generally 3 steps that we have to do. The number 1 is define the schema of the form. What does it expect? Number 2 is define the type of the form. And number 3 is to define what the actual state is to do the update with. So let's import Z from Zod so that we can do our schema. And we'll do that after all of this stuff. So we can say const schema z.object, and this is going to be a bit redundant, but we need to define it. So we only want to be able to edit the title, the category, the description, the thumbnail. Actually, we won't be editing the thumbnail because that's handled by Bunny in this version, but we also want to update the visibility and status. Created at we don't want to update. So basically just title, category, description, visibility, and status. Okay. And that is strange. It just basically used everything I just mentioned. I don't want a native enum, I just want a normal enum. And then we define our type. So step 1 is the schema. And then step 2 is let's just say the video data is z.output. And then the third step is to define our reactive form. So we can say const, so there is schema and there is our state. So we want to define our state as reactive. And what we'll do is we'll use the values from the existing video as the starting value for the form, so that it populates it when it's mounted. So basically we can do the title is going to be that, or it's going to be that, and category, same for description, same for visibility, same for the status, and this has to be draft. And I also want to set the default to premium, so that we have to explicitly change it if we want to show the video to everyone. Okay, so the form takes the schema and it takes the state, and then now we just have to define our inputs. We can say that the U input, actually let's create sections. So we'll do a U form group, and the form group will have a label. This is going to be the title, and we also have to set a name on this, which is equal to the field that it's updating's name. And then the U input just models the state or title, and this is required. So there we have our video title pre-populated, and we want to squeeze down this form a little bit. I'm going to make it like 600 pixels, hard coded. Okay, so that squeezes our form down a little bit. For the description, So we have title, description, category. So let's do the category first. It will be a uSelect. And this one will have a label of category. And its name is the category. This will be a uSelect again, because we might want to create categories before we add it. Actually, let's make it simple. We'll just make it a uInput too. So we basically just have to create the category ourselves. We're not going to create a different table just yet for categories and then use those to basically fetch the categories for each video. We'll just have hard-coded categories, and we have to make sure that we update those correctly. Okay, so we're not using video data, which is fine. So there we have the category. Now for the description. And you can see that the way I usually go about doing UI stuff and just getting everything out there is I'm sort of preempting what things are going to look like. But most of this will change, but it still acts like a good skeleton. When I change stuff, I don't have to write it from scratch. I can just change some properties and everything. So the label on this would be the description, and the name is description, and then we'll do a U text area. All right, so we have a description. Then we also have visibility and status, and those should be uSelects. Okay, so I'll just copy this. This will be visibility. And the visibility is a select. And the same for our status. So when we edit the video, we can change its status up now. And this will be only published or draft because we don't want to be able to set the status of the video to processing. That only happens if we upload the video, it gets automatically set. All right, so there we have a little form that has all the properties, I believe, that we need. And finally, we can just do a uForm group, which basically just holds our button. Here we go. So let's update our styling a little bit just to make it look a little bit better. In our div, we can add, well, let's do this on our form. We can say space Y3 maybe, just to space everything out a little bit better. Looks okay. And then bump everything down a little bit. And we also might want to set the title over there, which if I change this, okay, so that's fine. So we want the title there, but we also want to make it a bit bolder. And maybe a bit bigger. And then right above that, we can add, finally show some content with the these are all sort of squarish. I think I should change this to let's do 1600 by 900 so that it's more like an actual video size. That looks better. And we can do something like that. Let's put the title before the video. Make it a little bit bigger. Add some spacing on this as well. Okay, so that's basically our video. I'll change this to MY so that it has some space on the footer as well. And that will allow us to edit our video. So this is just a basic idea. I think I might add a back button over here. Well, let's do a U button. And I'm going to be a little bit lazy. Instead of an icon, I'm just going to do and lar. And when we click on it, we just want to push straight back to the admin. And there we go. So now we can edit. So on the edit page, we need to add the link to the edit button. And only the first one will work in this case. So this is going to be /admin/ the row's ID. So it only works on the first one, and the second one it's going to say video not found. Great, because we hard coded it to 1. Basically we can add a cancel button and everything, but I think for now this is the base idea, the most basic skeleton of what we need. We aren't going to work on deleting stuff now because I think that's too much related to what happens in the database. But now we have all the UI elements that we need to actually start fetching and using our videos. So I think for the next video, we can start working on creating our actual data.